Good evening, students. I hope everyone is giving at least an hour to your studies and hope everyone is safe at home. Today's chapter is regarding developing new recipes, product research and development. In today's topic, we will be discussing development of new recipes. Eating habits of people have changed around the world. To be on top of the business and to be modern and updated, one must constantly develop new products, new processes, and new ways. Developing new recipes is a common feature in almost all business houses and food chains to constantly evolve their products to suit the different market segments. Example, McDonald's serve beef burgers all over the world, but in India, they had to change their product recipe due to sensitive religious constraint. The recipe developer works as a separate team and may consist of chefs, food technologists, scientists, and each of them has a distinctive role play. Recipe development comprises of various stages which may differ from organization to organization. Chefs create new recipes by different methods. The most common is the trial and error method. Based on his culinary skill and knowledge, a chef combines flavors and ingredients to create a new product. The product is offered to a panel of food tasters. The feedback is collected and the recipe is further refined and then standardized. Many factors are built into the new recipe when it is ready to be listed on the new menu. The factors include production planning, forecasting, the number of portions to be sold, and also creating the menu specification sheet. Developing recipes for a food chain, which is to be launched in various outlets across the globe, may take more than 6 to 8 months before the process is complete. Now we will discuss about the methodology to develop a recipe or a new product. First point, to evaluate the objective of the organization as to what it wants to develop, whether the product is for a short or long term. Point number 2, to develop an action plan to be able to plan in a sequential manner. Point number 3, to develop the product in small portions in the kitchen. Point number 4, thereafter the team of developers will figure out how this product to be made in bulk, deconstructed and reconstructed at different outlets. Point number 5, in order to achieve this, the product is tested for the temperature changes that it has to undergo and the time it will be cooked for. Point number 6, during the various stages, the judgment of the physical factors such as environment, communication, marketing has to be kept in mind for the success of the launch product. Point number 7, the recipe is thus created in a monitored environment to see how it is stored and dispensed to avoid microbial growth and contaminations. The biggest challenge is to obtain a product which, despite having gone through an immense number of processes, is flavorsome, moist, and as fresh. Now I would like to discuss another topic along with this topic, as this topic is connected to the previous topic that I have talked about. This is food trials and it comes under product research and development. In food trials, this is the step where the company actually makes a number of trials and gives it for tasting to a number of people and then collects their feedback on how best to improve the product. So evaluating food by a panel of specialists or consumers for criticizing is termed as a food trial. Food trials can be of different types. Trials while opening a new establishment or introducing new dishes or menu to existing establishments. Food trials are done for two primary reasons. First, to train the staff to be able to produce the product as per the standardized recipe and presentation, and to moderate the recipe and create new standard recipes before the launch of the product. The tasting panel could comprise of regular guests, food specialists, chefs, and food and beverage professionals from the industry, or a select group of consumers. The recipes are refined with the advice of the food tasters. Trial as a recruitment tool for hiring new staff for a food production operation. A panel of judges comprising of chefs, human resource managers evaluate the food so as to judge the skill level of the aspirant of the candidates. This enables the organization to hire the right person for the right job. The candidate is provided with ingredients and resources and is allowed to prepare a menu for evaluation. Post presentation, the food is judged on various parameters such as workflow and food hygiene and sanitation, appearance, taste, texture, and flavor. This evaluation is done by minimum 3 persons, and an average score decides the selection of the candidate. The three components, right attitude, knowledge, and skill of the candidate, make them the most suitable one. Evaluation of food. Quality is the ultimate criterion of the desirability of any food product. It can be evaluated by following two methods. First, sensory or organoleptic evaluation, subjective. Second, objective method. Sensory or organoleptic evaluation, in this we would be there would be, while they are tasting, okay, the organoleptic, as we have discussed before, is a series of different senses that are used by each of us while we are tasting. Organoleptic and sensory evaluation product research and development. In this, through this, the company is able to evaluate on what or how better to improve the food and the training of the employees. Organoleptic properties are the aspect of food, water, or other substances that an individual experiences via the senses, including taste, sight, smell, and touch. Sensory evaluation is an invaluable tool for quality control as well as research and development. Customers perceive product quality with their senses, and as a result, organoleptic evaluations are an essential component of any quality control evaluation. The aim of the sensory testing is to describe the product, distinguishing two or more products. Are there any differences between the quality, its magnitude, and direction, performing the expert or the consumer? So, the enjoyment is the sum of the organoleptic characteristics. Various organoleptic factors. Sight. The appearance of food to our eyes is the most critical parameter one eats with eyes first. It is this feature of our senses that judges the food for its freshness, color, appeal, dullness, glossy, juicy, etc. If the eye appeal is not good, then the food goes in for a complete rejection. Smell. Smell of the food is defined as flavor in cooking, and it can be of three different parts. First, odor. Odor contributes to the pleasure of eating. Volatile molecules from the food stimulate olfactory nerves and they guide our perceptions of food being sweet, bitter, spicy, sour, or acidic. All these perceptions are associated with taste. 2. Aroma is the smell of the food mixed with the taste buds. Flavor can be obtained by smelling, but the aroma of the dish, one has to taste the dish. 3. Taste. Taste is registered on the taste buds on the tongue. The taste buds register the food being salty, acidic, bitter, spicy, or pungent. There is another taste known as a sixth sense, which is an undefined taste. It is known as umami factor. This taste cannot be described as it is a mix of many tastes that coat the tongue, but one can feel the sensation on the palate for a long time. Touch. This feature of the food can be defined in many ways, such as texture, mouthfeel, and even temperature of the food. We all expect tea, coffee, or soup to be very hot or chilled. If not served at the right temperature, it will be rejected. Many adjectives such as crunchy, soft, brittle, smooth describe the texture of food. Texture can also be described as a consistency, liquid, semi-liquids. Sound. The crispy bite of fresh sliced onions or the crackling sound of the crispies satisfies the sound element of the food. One can thus see that the balance of organoleptic tasting completes the feeling of satisfaction. If even one element in the meal is missing, the overall experience does not seem to be right. The tasting of food is not only limited to the food trials, the trade test, but also being done by the F&B industry. Today, tea, coffee, and wine experts are being hired for tasting. Tasters are people whose sensitivity and consistency have been established by training and repeated tests. Such people are called connoisseurs. Categories of organoleptic test: discrimination test. These type of tests are performed to differentiate products from one another. There are three major types: paired comparison test, trio test, triangular test. In paired comparison test, several pairs of coded samples are given, different from each other. They are tested and evaluated. In trio test, the panel is presented with three samples, of which one is the original product. The second is similar to the original. Third is the sample product to be tested. The comparison is then done to reach a conclusion. Triangular test. This method employs three samples, two of which are identical while the third is different. Apart from this, a hedonic test, also known as a consumer test. Hedonic tests are based on pleasant, unpleasant experiences of consumers or an honest expression of a consumer's personal liking or disliking. These tests are generally carried out on more than 50 end users. It is limited to a particular market segment. Numerical scoring test. This test is done by a trained panelist who follows the sensory characteristics, and markings is done on a score sheet on various parameters such as appearance, flavor, taste, and mouthfeel, temperature, etc. Objective evaluation. Many food processing industries, hotels, and restaurants resort to the objective method of evaluation. In these tests, the quality of food is measured along various parameters such as moisture, freshness, specific gravity, viscosity, microbial contamination. Such tests are conducted by the use of sophisticated gadgets and are more reliable than sensory evaluations. Have a pleasant evening. Thank you very much.